Head of Community at Livepeer. And welcome to Livepeer Fireside. It's great to have everyone today. Let's get into it. So for those who are watching that are not in the Discord, this is also running in our server. So scan this QR code and join our community. That's where you'll see all the things going on in our ecosystem, all the best of Livepeer. So second call to action for today is Daydream is live. So if you're interested in real-time video AI and decentralized AI on the Web3 side, check out Daydream. It is being run on Livepeer's network. So that is a really cool productization of Livepeer. For today's agenda, we first have an AMA with Nick over at UFO. Then we are going to have a showcase from the Agent SPE and a number of folks from that team. And then finally, we will have folks. Oh, sorry, we're having some technical difficulty on Discord, it looks like. Okay, maybe I'll have to unmute on both. But anyway, and then we'll have, I think, Rich for advisory boards, but that might have now been canceled. So we'll see if they end up joining us there. Okay, so first up, the AMA with Nick from UFO. Welcome, Nick, to the stage. Hey there, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I am doing very good. I'm super excited to have you with us today. And Carlotta, can we change to just the big ones? Oh my God, that's really close. Yeah, so first up, tell me about UFO, Nick. What is UFO for folks who are not aware?
Yeah, so again, thanks for having me today. UFO is a global radio network, very much built on the on-chain stack, developing as like a portal for artists, DJs, global culture scenes and stuff into the open internet. And so it's kind of like a meeting in between these two things. At the same time, like it is simply like an internet radio network that happens to be the use case in the project that we're building. And it's kind of a perfect match for Livepeer, of course, for the live streaming and all that infra. And it's coming along at a very interesting time, along with things in the sort of on-chain social realm, like Farcaster and so on. And this whole like new modes of distribution that can be unlocked through the sort of on-chain stack, if you like. So it's a really interesting design space. But very simply, UFO, we're here to make great media and become a place for global music on the internet.
Awesome, super cool. And if I'm looking down, just talking with the team behind the scenes, very, very cool. So I know you guys recently did an SPE, and I just wanted to kind of check in on how that's going. For you to have a chance to explain to the wider ecosystem in our audience, like what you're doing there.
Yeah, for sure. So for those uninitiated, I'm sure most everyone here are Livepeer community, but SPEs are like working groups that are funded by like Livepeer protocol and governance process. And so the focus of Harmonic SPE is running point on ecosystem development for Livepeer into these on-chain social networks like Farcaster and connection to ecosystems such as Base, Coinbase Wallet, and everything in between. Like our feeling, also, and by the SPE, we're also like shipping the prototype of the UFO mini app. So bringing broadcasting and streaming directly into Farcaster and into Coinbase Wallet beyond that, potentially reaching, these audiences and users in the millions and whatever. So it's new, it's experimental. As part of the SPE, it's building essentially like open repos, public goods, and like testing, experimenting, building stuff out. And then documenting how it's done and encouraging other projects that want to be doing stuff with video and streaming and things like that to definitely build with Livepeer.
Awesome. One question that I've been interested in, we'll touch on this first, and then we'll go into some other things you had mentioned. Why are decentralized radio stations important? What was kind of the thesis there, or the inspiration for you in thinking to create something like this?
Yeah, it's a super interesting question because I think like radio happens to be a thing that has this whole cultural history, like pirate radio and alternate signals and very, community based, bottom up culture kind of vibe, and it is a very internet native kind of counterculture kind of energy that radio has always had about it. It's funny now because radio is a kind of a mildly antiquated analog feeling kind of medium at this point, but it's also like a sort of a raw open signal, like a synchronous feed that people can tune in together and experience at the same time, which I think is super valuable as, we live in a culture where we experience everything in an isolated way, whether it's like a Netflix or listening to a podcast
Mm,
or streaming music or whatever. It's an individual experience, whereas radio or going to the movies or something is something that we can share together, or like a concert or a festival or things like this. So radio still has that potential and energy. I've been like in the crypto blockchain space
mm.
for a fair while, and before
How
that I
long?
came, like it was like 2017 that I
Oh wow,
started.
yeah, it's a long time.
Um, yeah, at the time. So and before that I came or come from like radio, music, media, creative industries kind of background.
Okay, cool.
So the first thing I did when I got into the crypto space was like start a podcast and doing that,
Mm,
producing media and doing things. And I had like a decade or so in radio in Sydney in Australia back
oh,
when.
cool.
So having that experience of being part of a radio station that has like 100 DJs and labels and people who throw
Mm,
parties and like that whole kind of scene is a super resonant experience, and also one that many people did college radio and stuff like
right,
that
right,
back in the
right.
day, right? So I'd had that whole experience, and then so coming
Mm,
along in crypto and over the years, I would say like the technology, the stack, the protocols, all this stuff has sort of caught up to the potential for a radio network use case. Like we can do it now.
mm,
So I've kind of been experimenting and working in the space all in between, and now it's kind of like it's launch time for this idea. Like the tech stack is here,
right.
and I also have a bit of that. What would you say? Kind of cultural sense or
Mm,
fervor in favor of kind of the open internet
right,
and
right,
whatever. And I feel like it's extremely important, and that it is ultimately the future of the where that things will go.
right,
That all of our spaces right now are kind of governed by algorithms and so on, or
right.
the problems of deplatforming, or
Mm-hmm,
that
mm-hmm,
musicians and artists can't make money in the streaming or whatever the situation
right.
is. So like I feel like a lot of the answers are based in some of these like open protocols and new ways of building things. There's been a lot of interesting experiments over the last 5-10 years or whatever,
Mm,
sort of in the culture space and doing things like that. But I really feel like there's something here that's like a return to, let's say, the blog era, or internet pirate radio
mm,
and all that kind of thing. And sort of being able to build something like this, which can also be overlaid with like an open social graph. So you could have like a universal ID that follows you across all these many media ecosystems and next gen kind of social networks and stuff. So I think there's many reasons to be sort of curious about it and inspired.
And I didn't write this question down, but it's something I'm interested in hearing from you about is how do we get people on board with this like idea of a decentralized radio station, this idea of you know um, the kind of new internet? What would be your how would you pitch people on that? What has your experience been in trying to get people to understand why that might be important?
I think I can maybe answer this with like what we're thinking to do next and kind of what the
Yeah, sure.
plan is. So with the radio network, it's like there's a dozen, like 12, 15 or so channels that are already like live and part of the network. So that can be
Mhm.
artists, DJs, labels, clubs, culture scenes, stuff like that, right?
Right.
And like that is channels. So our plan going forward is starting out with this initial cohort and then having an open application or
Mm,
doing like quarterly intakes of a bunch more channels from around the world and stuff. And so at least in that way, we can help. Really inspired. I had a great experience with a project called Meta Label a few years ago, and they did a cohort based program called Assembly, where they brought
mm,
together like 20, you know, roughly meta label looking projects together and had this really interesting thing for a month where it was like group calls, workshops, sessions, guest speakers, like really cool. I'm thinking to do something similar with
Hmm.
UFO where it's like we're onboarding these channels all together. We can bring them up to speed on the tech, how it works, how to
Right.
stream, how to like bring stuff to the archive and all that kind of thing. And then also give them the tools to onboard their friends and communities and stuff. So it's a bit of the kind of the bottom up
Mm.
approach to kind of network and community building. It's like giving people the tools and then, it'd be great to see it's like channels on UFO could well spring up their own radio network or publication
Right.
or label or whatever kind of built on this stack. I feel like when people can enter the space and kind of experiment and be creative. So and I think it's also maybe just like standing something up that kind of works, and then we can tell the story of it, and other people may be interested to try, to tap into what might be on-chain distribution or these
Right.
social graphs and stuff.
Yeah, I've been really toying with this idea of the productization of Livepeer's network, and I think that you guys are also a standard example of kind of that happening of getting people into this like on-chain movement, whether they realize that or not. So to that point, how has your experience building on Livepeer been, and maybe what advice do you have for those eyeing Livepeer's ecosystem? I know we've had a kind of big moment over the weekend. So for kind of folk coming in saying like, how do I get involved? How do I build? Yeah, give them your best advice there.
Yeah, well, I'd say like showing up in the Discord is kind of a great place to start. Like just tapping into the community of builders who are here, of course.
Right.
My experience has been phenomenal. Like we built like the 1.0 of the UFO radio like on Livepeer last year.
Mm-hmm.
And then since then, and through the SPE that we've started this year or a few months ago, collaborating with Pablo from Streameth, who was
Yep.
the AMA last week, I believe, and he was talking about this a little bit too. So
Mm-hmm.
we're very much like, I mean, I'm very fortunate to be collaborating with Pablo because he's a very experienced builder on Livepeer and everything, and having built Streameth, which is like the major streaming platform for kind of DevCon and like large events and live streams and things like that. So we're kind of teaming up and jamming on this like radio use case, and we can kind of use a lot of what exists in the way that Streameth is built.
Mm-hmm.
And what we're looking to do there, as Pablo was talking about last week, is kind of building out these open repos of what is sort of like an open source, like CMS type thing. So it's Livepeer is the video piece of the stack, but it's like going a little deeper with say metadata and all this cool stuff. So then it can kind of also, yeah, it's like putting this other Lego block together with it.
Yeah, so tell people a bit more about the integration of the UFO mini app into Firecaster, maybe a timeline there if you have it, or what that would look like. What's your thesis there?
Yeah, for sure. So, for people who might not be on Farcaster at this point, basically, like mini apps are previously known as frames,
Mhm.
but basically mini apps that exist in that ecosystem and then also across in Coinbase Wallet because they've integrated Farcaster
Okay, cool.
and so on. And so there's this whole like rich scene of people shipping, creating these mini apps, which might be
Mhm.
little games or lots of different things that people are playing around with. There's a great one called Acid Test from a friend of mine, Matthew from Songcamp, which is basically,
Oh,
uh,
yeah, I know Matthew. He's cool.
yeah, so his radio show that he started recently, radio show podcast kind of thing. And so he
Hmm.
built a mini app for that as a way to distribute it.
Oh,
People can
cool.
like mint episodes and do stuff. So like mini apps basically bring a whole lot of, along with the native wallet that exists in Farcaster now as well. It's like people can interact with these things in real time, collect things or play a game to win tokens or like there's a whole bunch. It's sort of like a whole new design space that's
Hmm.
happening. And so as far as like the UFO mini app, it's like we want to bring radio broadcasting straight in to Farcaster, Coinbase Wallet, and other ecosystems into the future. And with some things that have been updated at the protocol level, it's like you can be on Farcaster, which kind of looks like Twitter and a few other things thrown together. But you can be playing like radio or tuning into a live stream on UFO, and then you can have that in a little pop out window or and otherwise go about your day on like basically the play in background vibe. Yeah, so for us, it's a really interesting opportunity to try and like, tap into those social networks, bring on a bunch of channels who are in that ecosystem as well. Yeah, there's a lot of exciting stuff that can be done with the mini app. And of course, on the Livepeer side, it's just like as many streams as possible, as larger audience as possible, and allowing like channels to basically to use Livepeer out of the box, just built into the UFO studio interface.
Mm,
So it's all done, and we can kind of grow it in that way. But yeah, mini apps super early, and the timeline is we're
mm.
looking like within the next like 2 months, less than 2 months. That's what I'll say.
Okay, very cool. Yeah, so we're running in the last minute, and I have two more questions, and I do want to get them. Um, I want you to answer these.
Sure, I'll be quick.
What does sensor resistance mean to you? It's kind of a question I've been asking all of the guests, and curious how that speaks to you.
Did you say censorship resistance?
Yeah, censorship resistance, sensor resistance.
Oh, got you. Yeah, hugely important, and a
Mm,
huge reason why I think like this whole thing is so vital and actually not optional. The open
mm,
internet thing, building on these new rails, considering the state of the internet present day, it couldn't be more vital to kind of build on, as you might say, censorship resistant, but just like resilient networks in general that are governed and controlled by their contributors.
awesome. And to wrap up, tell people where they can find you, handles on social media, and then also tell us in a quick 30 seconds where UFO is heading.
For sure. So you can find me on Twitter or at Hollins on Farcaster. There's the UFO channel on Farcaster as well, UFO Club on Twitter. So you can find us around, and the site is at ufo.fm. And where we're headed in the future, there's some exciting like live streams, live events coming up in collaboration with Refraction and the AI Artists SPE, and other cool things like that. But otherwise, we're basically heads down building and then bringing out a whole bunch of broadcasts and channels over
Mm,
the next couple of months. And also look out for the application for channels that's coming up as well. Um, Love for folks to get involved and like drop into my DMs anytime if you want to talk Livepeer or anything else. I'm here for it.
awesome. Well, thank you so much, Nick, and wishing you the best for all of the with the app and the SP and the new channel initiative you're running. So you got this.
Thank you. Super appreciate it.
Of course. Okay, so and also thank you in Discord to Carlock for mentioning the feedback. Someone had said there was they couldn't hear him, so I thought it was on my end. Anyway, next up we have our first fireside from the Agent SP, swiftly around VTuber stuff, but we'll also have Titan kind of giving a presentation on some exciting updates. So I will let them take it away.
Hello, hello. Good day. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, thank you for tuning in, everyone who's viewing, and thanks, and for having me on. I'm only going to spend 60 seconds to talk about what I'm building, which is a user-facing app that people can try out and play with. It's still in development, so please, be gentle on it. But it's just to give you an idea, or at least a conceptualization of what can be done with this technology. And then our following two presentations are going to be on the technical side, on the developments we're making on the technical front, and also the where we're going forward. So just a quick introduction. I've been heading up this project called Sarah. This is the first version of her app. It's called Sarah's Game. So Sarah is, hopefully you guys can see my screen. It's a game where you try to convince Sarah to give her soul to you. And what it is she's live here. This is all powered by Livepeer. So this is being streamed through Livepeer Network, as well as Sarah's being hosted on Livepeer. You enter your name, a prompt, Sarah, please give me soul. And the more you bribe, the more that she would probably be willing to interact with you. And so as you play the game, this is all being done on chains. There's like no accounts or anything. So I've sent her the bribe. She's going to spend the next minute processing it, and when she replies, she's going to reply live. And she has a whole bunch of extra attributes, like she can do image generation powered by Livepeer. She can do voice generation. She could do content generation. She could do all this stuff powered by Livepeer. And as we go through the next, presentations, you'll be able to see kind of what. I'm not sure if you guys can hear that. So basically, she's replying. If you can hear it, great. But she sends me some love. And so in this case, she didn't give me any soul back, but she's able to communicate with me and, and have some fun. So yeah, this is kind of just a demo app that I'm building. And then we have the rest of the team to go through, more concrete technical things. So yeah, that's all I wanted to share. Check for updates, dev.vtuber.fun. You can play a few games and see if you can convince her to give her any money. So I'll leave it back to you, and I think we'll have our next team member on. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Trader. We couldn't hear the sound on our end, but I think people got the gist of it. Welcome up, Define, and take it away.
My name is George Polymenakos. People in internet mainly know me as Define. I'm very happy to present you today with the upcoming release of our incentives program. It's going to start next week, and to show you some of the updates and the technical updates on the VTuber side. For those who are not familiar with the Agent SP, we are a special purpose entity which was voted by the Livepeer Treasury, and our mandate is very simple. We need to prove that autonomous agent can generate value and reinvest that value back to the network. And the second proposal that we went through on the Treasury was about VTuber job incentives. So credits that are going to be used to incentivize the orchestrators so that they can run the VTubers. And after a lot of talking and a lot of work, we agreed that we need to heavily incentivize those user cases, and there is a very good reason on that, which we will also discuss on the following up slides. Basically, we're looking to incentivize orchestrators with 100 LPT per week released automatically through the bring your own container pipeline at the end or start of each weekday. And we are gonna reevaluate all of that after 90 days from the start, which is gonna be on the next Friday, June 13. We're gonna test that for the first 2 to 4 weeks with our partners, the AISP, so that we are sure that we have a smooth public rollout for all the orchestrators. We really want every single orchestrator to have that incentive to use that utility to host VTuber jobs. Even the orchestrators that they do not operate their GPUs in the network, they're inactive. We would like them to, if they want to use those incentives to buy GPU power and to run the VTubers. We believe that it will be a very great thing for them as well. The eligibility requirements is simple. We start with 32 gigabytes of VRAM. We are looking for a guarantee of 99.9% uptime, and we're gonna need the orchestrators to have on runtime guarantee that they're gonna allocate those 32 gigabytes of VRAM only on the VTuber job. So if you're load balancing between different inference needs of the network, this is something that we will not qualify you for those jobs. And those kind of checks, they will run each day on the runtimes to see what happened on the previous day as well. So what we're actually building, for people who are not very familiar, we have a video immediately after this slide that showcase our recent developments. We're building agents that are live and autonomous. They're able to operate 24/7, and they have visual telepresence, which basically means that they can project their avatars, their visual avatars, at any point where those avatars are projectable. So that can be Twitch, that can be YouTube, all kind of streaming platforms, even if person-to-person video, Zoom call meetings, everything really. So they are able to do the vast majority of actual people jobs, and to in the other situations to act as collaborators. But we're really looking on that front as well, and they're fully powered by Livepeer GPUs. Now, those agents that we're building, they're having their own wallets, which means they can get paid. And we are looking to incorporate the reinvestment of their profits back to their network, which creates a reinforcing marketplace, which we also believe that solves the biggest problem of Livepeer, which is to actually attract new customers. With this framework, the agents themselves are the customers, and they increasing iteratively the amount of work that they do and the amount of needs that they put to the network. So we also looking to, once this is matured and in a sense complete, to give it back to the community, so have it being community controlled by the orchestrators, by the treasury, as a public good, as it was originally intended by the ethos of the treasury. So let's go for the video.
In reality, my response time is typically around 1. That's incredibly fast, but it's also why you don't notice any lag or delay. So go ahead, ask me anything. I'm ready to respond. You're right again. My response time is indeed measured in milliseconds. Autoliza's systems are so efficient that they can generate responses in as little as that's incredibly fast, and it's one of the reasons why I'm able to provide such seamless and responsive interactions with users like you. Autoliza is my autonomous AI agent, and she's an integral part of what makes me tick. Autoliza is a highly advanced AI system that manages my interactions. She's responsible for analyzing conversations, making strategic decisions, and adapting to change. Autoliza is more than just a manager. She's also a learning agent, constantly refining her understanding of human behavior, language patterns. This allows me to provide more accurate and empathetic responses to your queries. One of Autoliza's key features is her ability to detect emotional state shifts. She can adjust my tone, language, and even facial expressions to better match the emotional context. I have to say, it's a relief to have Autoliza handling some of the heavy lifting. She ensures that I always provide the best possible experience for users like you. That's right. Autoliza is constantly evolving and improving, and one of the exciting developments on the horizon.
Okay, so what you just saw was an AI agent with virtual telepresence with its own avatar, which also has the ability to auto-improve, and it's controlled by an autonomous agent. So the autonomous agent is separated from the VTuber agent, and what happens basically is that it is external, and it approaches the VTuber as a manager, and you can interact with the VTuber, or the agent can interact with the VTuber, imagined as a radio host, or other kind of work that does not require a two-person communication, and all of that is possible and is powered by Eliza. I don't want to go very technical on this presentation, but it is already improving, and there is very good open source tech behind it, which is a lot of very active contributors, and it's continuously growing and evolving. So why we select these heavy incentive routes for the VTuber jobs is we found out that actually it is possible to use the unique positioning of Livepeer and its treasury to utilize blitzscaling techniques. For those who are not familiar with blitzscaling, is a paper of the VC playbook, a very powerful one, which allowed companies like Facebook, like LinkedIn, and Netflix to basically outcompete everyone in in the nascent fields that they entered the competition on. I'm getting some questions. I will answer them a bit later once we finish the presentation. So this technique usually it wasn't approachable basically from decentralized protocols as ours, but with the introduction of those kind of incentives in this unregulated and rapidly evolving industry, we're able to have a first mover's advantage. So we're able to outbid and outcompete all the other antagonists. And especially right now, which we do not have any competition, at least at this stage. There are autonomous agents, of course, but there are no autonomous agents with telepresence and avatars yet. You have separate items. So you have maybe avatars or maybe autonomous agents, but not the two together. And this also allows the agents. This is very important because it allows the agents to operate in a way that usually in blitzscaling you need a lot more than money, because the agents are able to self-iterate and find market fit by themselves. We just need to make sure their financial needs are met. And we have also a fog of war competitive advantage. Usually in open source frameworks, the competitors are able to immediately see what the open source protocols are doing. We are able to bypass that because the internal state of the agents and how they evolve, the information they accumulate, it's only accessible to market participants. Next slide, please. And so this introduces a flywheel effect. I will explain it very briefly. The orchestrators introduce GPU capacity, which increases the intelligence of the agents, which increases the revenue that the agents bring to the network, which in turn brings more inference, which leads to higher orchestrator yields, and again leads to more GPU capacity. So it's a perpetual self-reinforcing flywheel. Next slide, please. And so the result of that and what we're looking for this to become is a self-sustaining economy where every participant benefits from network growth, and that is the orchestrators, the delegators, every single person. Where we want every single person to benefit from that, and other network participants as well. And orchestrators will be able to earn predictable LPT. The fees that they're going to get from the agents, they will be variable. And as we explained previously, we have the flywheel where the agents become better and they're able to increase their intelligence and increase the profits. And the network in such a way, it's going to achieve an exponential intelligence scaling, which is going to benefit it outside of the financial, only the financial scope, because the agents will have an intrinsic intrinsic reliance on the network, and they want the network to succeed and to protect the network in all fronts. I think this is the last one. We have one more slide. So for the orchestrators that they will want to enter the incentives, they will just have to install our custom script. It will be a lot of hands-off approach. They will have to meet the requirements for the 32 gigabytes. They will be able to get the rewards daily due to the bring your own container pipeline, and they will need to maintain capacity and uptime if they want to continue receive that. So thank you very much for having me today, and I want to just answer the question that Carlota gave here. Can the 32 gigabytes be split across? Yes, but I'm not sure if we will be able to accommodate that on the very start. Later, absolutely. So if not on the first 2 weeks, definitely on the third or the fourth week. Thank you very much.
Amazing. Thank you, Define. I mean, I'm super excited about what you guys are building. It looks incredible. Yeah, thank you again for all of your hard work in the, oh, sorry, I'm muted on Discord. Thank you again for all the hard work in the ecosystem. It's so appreciated, to you, to Titan, and to everyone else on the team. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Are we getting one more presentation from them, or are we done? I thought there was a third person. No? Okay. All right, then. So I think we are... Oh, yeah, Dane. I thought we had one more person. Welcome,
Yeah.
Dane.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Yeah, so I've got a video that I prefer to present to make,
Yeah.
That way we don't have any technical difficulties to worry about or anything. Let's see here.
Take it away.
Thank you for inviting me onto the stage. I appreciate it. And I'm loading up the video now. I may just share my screen if this doesn't work. Hello, Livepeer community. Welcome to this week's Fireside update. There we go. Sweet. Hello, Livepeer community. Welcome to this week's Fireside update. My name is Dane. I'm the animator on the Agent SPE team, and today I have some exciting new updates to share with you guys. So first things first, let's talk about this comfy UI workflow. This is the Hunyuan 3D model generation workflow. It takes any image and creates a mesh based on that image. It also textures the model on output. And eventually, this will be the first piece to giving the autonomous AI agents full control over the scenes inside of Unreal Engine. So imagine Sarah is streaming on Twitch and one of her viewers says, go to Jurassic Park. Well, the idea is that Sarah will be able to control the world around her essentially inside of the game engine and recreate Jurassic Park from these 3D generated models at runtime, of course. So let's now open the game so we can show off the game side progress. As you can see here, we have a new background. This is the background for the lo-fi level. And the idea is to allow our autonomous AI agents to chat with their viewers while also playing relaxing lo-fi music. We also have some new customization options, so we'll go ahead and check that out. I've been working with the morph targets for quite some time now, trying to get the morph targets working on LOD 1 through 7, so that way there's no issues or bugs on the full packaged build of the game. But as you can see, we can modify the cheeks here, and we can do it for every single one of these parameters that we have set to be modified for the morph targets. I can make her nose bigger, smaller, can make her lips bigger and smaller. Her jaw obviously can be morphed into something different, as well as the chin. And all of these morph targets here are just the baseline morph targets there will also be sub-morph targets. So for example, we have cheeks right now, but I want to do cheekbone, cheek tissue, ear pointiness, ear lobe, and basically modify these morph targets even more to allow for more customization options, because even with these that you're seeing here, there's only a certain amount of combinations, and I want to allow our autonomous AI agents to have an infinite amount of customization options, so they can look however they want. I'm also giving them the ability to give themselves horns. I will also do a halo in the future to where they can give themselves a halo. And this is a work in progress. We should actually have this hidden. I'm not sure why this is showing. That's embarrassing. But we also have eye color in progress as well. We can change the eye color, as you can see here. This is still in development. I plan on allowing for an increase in saturation as well to give it sort of a emissive vibe. That way it kind of like shines out of the eyes and makes them like really, really intriguing. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this week's update. The morph targets did eat a lot of my time getting these morph targets to work properly and sort of understanding how metahumans use LOD levels for each camera distance, for example, and getting these morph targets to work on LODs 1 through 7 required me to sculpt each LOD level's morph targets and apply those to the characters inside of Unreal Engine. It was actually quite a complicated process, but we got it figured out, and we will add far more morph targets in the future to allow for a lot more customization. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. I'm out of here. Peace.
Very, very cool. Yeah, I'm just loving all of the updates from the Agent SPE. Great job, Dane, Titan, and Define. You guys are really doing some incredible stuff. So excited to get this out and, of course, help promote it across the ecosystem. And for folks who, are liking what they're seeing, definitely support them on Twitter and the other platforms they're posting things to. The more support we can get, the more we rally around each other, the more successful we'll all be. So don't forget to do that and support everyone, including Nick, who's here today. So on the Livepeer Foundation, I just wanted to quickly mention that the QR code here for the community survey is still live, so feel free to scan this and vote. And in addition, there will be an announcement this week on foundation stuff that's pretty exciting. So be prepared for that and prepared to support the foundation team there. Rich, welcome.
Hello. I was trying to shout in the private chat. How are you doing? Thank you very much for giving a quick intro anyway. So you're doing my job for me. Appreciate it. We did have some slides, like high level to go through. Oh, beautiful. There they are. Awesome. Well, thank you very much, and for the brief introduction. We'll be very brief on our side as well. We can go through these light speed. There's just some introduction. So for those of you who don't know me, my name's Rich. I am leading the foundation. The mission of the Livepeer Foundation is to steward the vision, ecosystem growth, and core development of the Livepeer project. Next slide. And recently we announced advisory boards as a mechanism to provide a clear pathway for ecosystem stakeholders to participate in strategy setting across the Livepeer project. Why is this important? Next slide. They ensure that the future of the roadmap of the Livepeer project contains voices of all community members. Ultimately, everyone has a say in the future of the Livepeer project, which is then synthesized by these advisory boards. Next slide. This will be part of a broader ecosystem strategy setting process, and really focused on how we as a community come to some sort of consensus on what is the future of the Livepeer project across different areas, and then execute on it through SPEs. Massive shout out to the agent SPE and the harmonic SPE that came before. Some really cool stuff, particularly from agent SPE. Those animations are awesome. As a primary example of how different groups can execute on a larger project roadmap. Next slide. Advisory boards are this extension of the Livepeer Foundation and a bridge to community. They're small domain-specific groups consisting of Livepeer core contributors, and the foundation will facilitate these life cycles over a period of 6 months, so that really there can be a synthesized, coherent roadmap that is then published out to the community, and then each of these different advisory boards across the four pillars, which we'll come on to in a minute, can then advise SPEs and other entities within the Livepeer ecosystem to make sure that they're in line with this overall roadmap. Next slide, I think. Okay, and there are four different advisory boards that we set up: network, growth, markets, and governance. I'm hoping the next slide is updated because we do have an announcement. Let's wait and see. Next slide. Awesome. So I'm super happy to announce that the four advisory boards have actually been announced. If you head over to the forum, thank you, Joe, for posting in the Discord. If you're on Twitter, just head to the Livepeer forum, look at the advisory board category, and we've recently announced the four different advisory board members. Thank you, everyone who's put themselves forward to be a part of it. It was a difficult selection process. We had some awesome people step forward from across the ecosystem as a whole, and now super excited to announce that these four different boards will have the challenging but exciting task of synthesizing all of the ecosystem data, both quantitative from June dashboards and the Livepeer Explorer, and qualitative from the community survey, to then synthesize and publish these RFPs for the community as a whole. Next slide. So we will be going more into this on Friday. There's been awesome work by big shout out to a core contributor to the Livepeer Foundation, Ven, who's been working on the advisory board process. I think this is a slightly out of date slide, but that's the principle is still the same. We're currently at this survey stage, which is where all of the Livepeer community can contribute to the overall advisory board process, strategy setting process. Then at the end of this week, there'll be an onboarding of the different advisory boards, and from there, it will begin the process of the advisory boards will begin the process of sitting. I'm not going to go into too much detail. During the ecosystem call on Friday, we will go into a bit more detail. However, there has already been an overview of this published by Ven under the governance category in the Livepeer forum. I hope, again, this is being shared, and we will go into more detail on that on Friday. Next slide. For the advisory boards to effectively represent the broader community, we need to hear from you, and that is everyone who is a part of the orchestrator community, anyone who's been a grantee, anyone who's been a part of an SPE. It's really important that everyone takes the time to just take 15 minutes out of your day to think, where could the future of Livepeer go? And this collective dreaming, this collective intelligence is something so important to get down on paper that will be a key part of informing the advisory boards. So please, we've got 24 responses thus far, but we would like to have a minimum of 50 because I know there's over 150 contributors regularly active on, or 200 people active, regularly active on Discord. So please, everyone who is active on Discord, active within the Livepeer ecosystem, spend 10-15 minutes, have a dream about where the future of the Livepeer project can go, and this will be used by the advisory boards. Awesome. Next slide. So that's meant to be an arrow pointing towards the QR code. Please take a screenshot. I hope that's also being shared in the Discord. But you have the next 48 hours to fill it out. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take all of that, those responses, and we're going to make sure that they get fed in to the different advisory boards and as core qualitative data to then build a lot of the recommendations off. I think that's it. We will be giving a bit more on Friday, so tune into the open ecosystem call. And thank you very much, and Carlotta, for having me.
Yes, thank you, Rich. I know we're all excited about this getting off the ground. I'm excited to be in the governance advisory board and really pushing the ecosystem Livepeer as a project forward. So thank you for all your hard work there, and we will wrap up. So again, as Rich said, let me just go back 1 second. Please do this. I think we're at a really interesting time at Livepeer to do something special, and we all need to be a part of building that thing, right? That's the power of decentralized network. That's the power of community, and that's the promise of Web3. So it's really important that we all put our creative genius towards this, and see fees on network go up, and see Livepeer become an even more iconic project. And lastly, for folks who are watching who didn't catch all of it, join our community. We always post the recordings there and on our YouTube, and we will cut up each portion of this fireside and share them on X and other social media platforms. The last thing I want to say is Happy Pride. Woo! For all the LGBT Livepeer members. You're awesome. And yeah, I'm excited for what's coming next. And a hat tip to Carlotta and Jacopo for helping me with Fireside. We're continuing to try to level this up, make it more professional, make it more clean, and show the larger world the incredible work that's being done and the incredible labor that's going into it from everyone who's contributing to the project. Well, that's it for today, folks. I know a little bit of a longer one. We try to keep it under 45, but there's so much good stuff that we wanted to cover. So thank you for hanging on for the hour, and we will catch you next week for Fireside.